Monopoly. The name alone is enough to induce exasperated groans in people that enjoy board games. I hate playing Monopoly with a passion. I hate how long the game takes. I hate how miserable it feels to be on the slow, painful path to elimination. And most of all, I hate how it's the board game everyone has and bases their opinion of board games on. Year after year, they release edition after edition of Monopoly based on any property they can. You can put Mario, or Sonic, or whoever else you want on the box. As long as Monopoly is the game, I have refused to participate. But my wife really, really loves Animal Crossing. So now we own Animal Crossing New Horizons Monopoly. I wasn't sure how the cute and cuddly world of Animal Crossing would translate to the cold capitalist hellscape that is Monopoly. But just one look at the rulebook makes it clear this isn't your typical Monopoly experience. The biggest and best change being the complete removal of player elimination. Instead of winning by bankrupting your opponents, victory is achieved through the accumulation of Nook Miles, which you gain by purchasing furnishings and completing tasks on Nook Mile cards. Players can purchase up to 3 furnishings per trip around the game board, with a maximum of 7 items. Once a player has collected their 7th piece of furniture, their play stops while the remaining players complete one more circuit of the board before they are allowed to make a final round of purchases. This system makes for much shorter games, while keeping things from devolving into a mad dash for the finish line. Property ownership and management is also drastically different for Animal Crossing Monopoly. The first player that lands on an island places one of their tokens on it, at no cost, and collects the resource the island provides, be it fruit, fish, bugs, or fossils. If another player then lands on that same island, both the player that landed on the island and the player that discovered the island get the resource benefits. That's right, there's no punishment. Both players get to reap in the rewards. It's a system that keeps everyone engaged in a positive way, even on other players' turns, just to see if they get that extra resource. The resources can then be used to complete Nook Miles cards or sold for the bells needed to purchase furniture. It wouldn't be enough, though, for Animal Crossing Monopoly to just change the rules of everyone's least favorite capitalism simulator. The game needs to look the part as well. The game board is more or less what you would expect, adorned with colorful artwork and familiar characters. The player tokens are surprisingly detailed, each of the 4 tokens being a unique villager doing a different activity, though the build quality is a little on the flimsy side and the coloring is a bit basic. There are a ton of different cardboard tokens in Animal Crossing Monopoly, representing fruit, fish, bugs, fossils, and the player tokens that mark the discovered islands. As nice as it is to see all the familiar icons from the Animal Crossing video game, the sheer quantity of tokens can make setting up the game a bit of a hassle. The cosmetic changes, along with the changes to game mechanics in the win condition, give Animal Crossing Monopoly a substantially different feel than the vanilla version we're all dreadfully familiar with. Almost to the point that it feels like a totally different game. But for all the mechanical changes, the game board itself remains firmly rooted in classic Monopoly style. The game board is still square, and there are still colored groups of spaces, chance cards, and the jail, free parking, go to jail, and go corner spaces are all present. The corner spaces in particular keep players rooted in that distinctly Monopoly headspace, as they received absolutely no Animal Crossing related cosmetic treatment of any kind. As a result, the corner spaces feel pretty out of place. Jail? Really? In Animal Crossing? I am the biggest fan of heavy, complex board games in the house, and Animal Crossing New Horizons Monopoly doesn't really scratch that itch. It's on the simple side, it's too short for any real deep strategic thinking, but that's okay. I enjoy it anyway. I enjoy its charming presentation and its fast pace, which keeps my son from getting bored. And more than anything, it does what a board game like Animal Crossing Monopoly needs to. It gets everyone together. We are willing to play this game as a family. We're not just willing, we want to. It gets everyone together, we play the game, we have a good time, and that's really everything that I could ask for out of a game like Animal Crossing Monopoly. But this is a family game night, not a Will's game night. So let's hear from the rest of my family.
Animal Crossing is far and away my favorite video game. I've logged over 600 hours playing it on my Switch alone, not even talking about the other consoles I've played it on. And so when I learned that there was an Animal Crossing Monopoly coming out, I needed it. Even though I don't really like Monopoly, it was Animal Crossing, so I needed it. It had to be in our house because I need all the Animal Crossing things. And so when we got it, we weren't quite sure how the dynamics of the game would work yet, but we still wanted, I still needed it in my house. And we were really happy to see, or I was really happy to see, that the mechanics of the game are similar to how you play on the islands, where the fish, the bugs, the apples, the fruits, the fossils are all still present in the video or in the board game, and they have a purpose just like they do in the video game. And I really liked that similarity in how you can use them similar ways. And the game doesn't take as long, because Monopoly, it can be so long and it can just drag on for what feels like days. And I love that the Animal Crossing Monopoly game is much more doable in like a 30-minute, 45-minute time frame, and it's much easier to play as a family without getting overwhelmed and just tired of the game in general. And I love the pieces, the little characters. They're very much like the villagers in the game, and their outfits are super cute, and they all have a little tool, which I think is adorable. And the board game itself also is just very cutesy and looks a lot like Animal Crossing, and even the cards that come with the game, there are some of my favorite villagers in like the chance cards and stuff, and so I love that, getting to see their cute little faces and their cute little stories that they have behind the chance cards. So if you've never played Animal Crossing Monopoly, and even if you don't really even like Monopoly, like I don't really like Monopoly, I would still give Animal Crossing Monopoly a try, because it is a very fun game, especially for a family to play. And it's become one of my favorite board games to play itself.
What I like about Animal Crossing Monopoly is how it's not like other Monopoly games. How just the pieces and how much fun it is, and just how it gets less boring, and just the game's really fun and enjoyable. I like playing together as a family as well.
Animal Crossing New Horizons Monopoly has found a regular place at our table thanks to its charming theming and changes to the traditional Monopoly formula. The game isn't terribly complex, but that can keep younger players from feeling confused and overwhelmed. The short playtime keeps games from exhausting everyone's patience, and makes the prospect of playing a game more appealing. If your family has a love for Animal Crossing, and even a passing interest in board games, I recommend giving Animal Crossing New Horizons Monopoly a try.